Finding the right people with the right skill sets, we've been talking about that for years. What we haven't been talking about is onboarding those new employees once you finally find them. That's going to be the show today. I'm Lisa Ellen Smith, and this is Focus on Business.
SBM is dedicated to helping your small business reduce the hassles of offering employee benefit plans that allow you to compete for talented employees that you need in order to be successful. Our association offers Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and Blue Care Network small group plans, in which companies with 2 or more employees are eligible. When you enroll in a Blues plan, you're selecting the strongest network of providers in Michigan. You can choose from a variety of affordable group health plans to fit the needs of your employees and your small business. SBAM also offers Dearborn Group. Dearborn Group makes it easy for our members to obtain life and disability insurance. Available for sole proprietors and companies covering up to 99 employees, this coverage is flexible and affordable. 100% participation of all eligible employees for the basic life, short and long-term disability coverage is required. However, each line of coverage can be written on a standalone basis. And when one of your employees gets injured or is hospitalized, they may need help paying for unexpected costs that come along with an injury or illness. The plans available through our partner LifeSecure can help your employees pay for things like deductibles, childcare, and transportation. And SBAM has exclusive consolidated billing and customer service for all of our members enrolled in our insurance program. So you receive the help you need with your monthly premium invoice, claims, plan, and enrollment changes. We rely on the licensed agents to provide the quoting and enrollment services for our members and prospects. If you would like to be connected with somebody in your area, give me a call at 800-362-5461, or you can email me at kelly.nierick@sbam.org, and we'll help you find someone who can assist you. Thank you.
Today we're talking with April Halliburton, founder and president of All 4 HR and Business Solutions, and Katie Crick, commercial insurance agent for Cedar River Insurance Agency. Hello. Welcome, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm interested in this topic because we have just really talked a lot about recruiting, but there's that phase of recruiting where there's onboarding. And so we're going to focus in on that today. But before we do that, let's stop down a little bit because April, you're new to the show. And I want to talk about where are your competencies? What does your agency do? How do you approach this topic?
Absolutely. So I offer HR and Business Solutions, offers a full suite of HR services for small businesses. We do the HR full office for recruiting, onboarding, training and development. And we do all of the HR things that small business owners are unable to do themselves.
Well, happy to have you here. And Katie?
I'm an insurance agent, so I help business owners pick products that help manage their risk. So if that is their product liability, their property liability, but also the people component, which can be included with employee benefits as well.
Yes, and in my opinion, a great insurance agent is going to actually be part of building that onboarding process for sure. So, but businesses everywhere are really hiring. They're feeling the pain of recruiting. I know we've done shows about that. So what I really want to talk about is once you find that right candidate, what is that onboarding process? What is being compromised right now in the rush to onboard employees?
So that's a great question, very good question. And so the onboarding is so important for hiring new hires. Is because you have to, as a small business owner, make sure you have those onboarding processes in place so that you're doing it correctly, efficiently, and in a timely manner every single time. That way you're alleviating errors that can occur and can be very costly for small business owners.
You know, I completely agree. You know, as a business owner, one of the things that we focus on is process and documenting process, and process followed by all. This is all stuff that we talk about in our leadership meetings, right? And yet I feel like we're in this window of time where we got to review some of these processes, because onboarding is not the same as it always has been. The year 2020 changed a lot of things. And so this whole onboarding, I think we need to review it as a collective whole, as a leadership team, and then also as an HR department. So this is really important to me. But I'll go ahead and have you give me an example of some of the things that you're, like, what's on your mind.
So in terms of the onboarding, Lisa, thank you so much. It's very important to have the employment packages done correctly. You know, oftentimes small business owners are so pressed and stressed to get those warm bodies in the seats that oftentimes they'll skip over that onboarding process. And that can lead to some very long-term and challenging problems for a small business owner. An example is perhaps with the I-9 form. I-9 forms have to be filled out within 3 days of an employer, of a new hire starting the first day. And so, say for instance, a new hire, a delivery driver, you hire that person, you put them in that seat, you might skip over that onboarding, making sure those forms are reviewed and completed in a timely fashion. And so what can happen? Well, the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, if you will can sometimes conduct I-9 audits, what are called I-9 audits. And during those audits, they may locate documents that have been signed well past the 3-day mark, or they have not been completed completely, right? And what can happen? Well, small business owners can incur fines anywhere from $234 up to over $2,300 per fine. That can be very costly and result in a lot of long-term challenges for a small business owner. So it's critical that small business owners make sure they have those processes and they're doing it consecutively and consistently every time, thus alleviating errors as much as possible in the onboarding process.
Okay, so I'm a small business owner, and the reason I do this show is because I don't want to know about, I did not start a company to know about HR
Exactly.
and government relations and taxes and all of that stuff. What is an I-9?
So an I-9 form is a form that supports that you are a U.S. citizen, and if you're not, that you have a green card and that the documents, perhaps a social security card or your driver's license, that those documents are submitted, they're not expired, and if they are expired, like in the case of our pandemic, a lot of documents were expired because of the COVID. Well, then those documents are updated, right? And that those are on file so that, you know, in the event, God helping, willing, that there's not a HR audit, you want to make sure that those things are in place.
Well, I'm certain my HR person knows all about I-9s. I just want to say that. I don't want to appear like we don't do any HR, but we do have a person that handles HR. It just for the audience purposes, I think it's really great to know what an I-9 is. So Katie, I am familiar with a lot of this onboarding, but I have to believe that what the employee side cares about is the benefit side and how to enroll and when they can enroll. Talk about the process and the commitment to that process.
Sure. So just like April said, the process should be consistent every time. And that's crucial for benefits too, right? So having the process be followed is key because it helps you protect yourself from things like discrimination or accusations of discrimination. With insurance and risk management, often we aren't actually talking about what happens if you did in fact discriminate. We're talking about what happens if somebody accuses you of discriminating or accuses you of managing something poorly or mismanaging it or not doing it at all. So I don't have to convince a business owner, right, that they might do something wrong because they know that they're a good person and they wouldn't do something wrong. But it's easier to realize that somebody might say you've made a mistake and it caused harm to them. So say you have hired a new person in your stockroom, for example, and you're low on filling orders, your clients are wanting those denim jeans that you sell, they can't get anywhere else, right? So you finally hire somebody and you're excited they're getting rolling and they might actually decline the benefits. So they may have filled out their I-9, they may have done all of those employment documentations, but they also might not want to buy benefits through you. So you're happy, you skip on off, they go to that stockroom, but they didn't sign the waiver. They didn't sign the waiver saying that they don't need those benefits. And tragically, perhaps a month later, a year later, they fall sick, but they don't actually have that medical insurance they said that they had at the time. So now all of a sudden, you don't have a way to prove that in fact you did offer that benefit. If the employee is facing mounds of medical debt, they're going to look for some help. They're going to try to find a way to get those bills paid. And if you can't prove that they declined it, suddenly we're off to the races and a settlement is going to ensue.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, you look depressed.
Scary.
I'm. It's endless, the number of things that you can't, the corners you cannot see around as a small business is just endless. It's something I never thought about before. So we have, when you talk about documenting and going through employee benefits, we have a fairly extensive employee handbook, and it talks about all of the benefits we have, when you're eligible, when you can enroll, all of those kinds of things. And then at the end of that employee handbook, they sign off saying, I have read and I understand. So in that conversation, is that sufficient to cover a lot of this onboarding process? And we don't walk them through it, we hand it to them and we ask them to sign the back. What does that do for me?
No, actually, that's not sufficient. That's why it's important that you have a new hire orientation, because during that new hire orientation, Lisa, that's when you're going to answer questions and you're going to bring certain things to the forefront of your new hire's mind. Perhaps what their benefit package is, what is expected, and then the employee is able to let you know as your new employee what their expectations are as well. So it's very important that, again, the onboarding is not just the employment package, but it's the whole engagement of bringing that new hire on, making sure they're trained, making sure they do a new hire orientation, and then they're able to ask those questions, and you're able to let them know exactly who you are as a new employer and what your expectations are. That onboarding process goes well beyond just the employment package.
So I've never worked with an HR company before. I've always done my own research and created my own things. Would a company like yours actually say this is document the onboarding process, the orientation for a business? Is that what you do?
Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely. We actually have a new hire packages that where employees will have a checklist to make sure you have all that documentation and making sure the benefit paid packages have been completed and submitted to the right personnel or the right company if it's a third party. And making sure you are addressing things like sexual harassment. We are a no tolerance or a zero tolerance zone. These are all the expectations that you're putting in front of your new hire. That lets your new hire know exactly that they are valued because you are bringing these things to the forefront of their mind as they're onboarding and becoming acclimated to their new position. Absolutely.
Well, I have to say, I love a good checklist. There's nothing like
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
So Katie, talk a little bit more about some mistakes that small business owners can make. We're so busy operating businesses.
It's true. And I think, like you said before, nobody starts a business because they love running the HR port, unless it's an HR business, right? You love marketing and you're fantastic at it. That's why you do what you do. And so I am such a proponent of outsourcing risk to the greatest extent possible, right? If that means outsourcing your liability risk to an insurance policy, great. If that means outsourcing your intellectual risk to an expert, better. So I am so pro automating. I mentioned before about not signing a waiver to decline medical insurance, but there's other insurance benefits too. And so in your employee handbook, it's great that you have benefits about what you're eligible for, but you need to have a waiver for every single benefit that they're declining or an application. There are systems like benefits administration systems that you can have the process where your employee sits in front of the computer and they go through each benefit, they read the fine print about it, they select it or they decline it. That way you always have it on file and it's not a paper you forgot to put somewhere. It's in a system held for you. And I also would say, just to kind of support the statement you're talking about, I have harped on employment practices liability so much, and I'm just not going to stop because it is a crucial piece of risk management strategies. So this is, I know it comes up a lot when we talk about this. I call April all the time just to chat, but when you do make a mistake, because I really do believe most employers don't want to, right? You aren't offering benefits hoping they're not going to take them. You're trying to do the right thing for your employees and your business. So it's so easy to make a mistake, and there's liability protections in place in case you do make one. You're 3 times more likely to be sued by an employee than you are to sustain a fire. Every business everywhere has property coverage for their brick and mortar because they think, what if I have a fire? But most 7 out of 10 don't have EPLI. It's expensive. It's tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're sued by an employee for mismanaging benefits. So it's just really crucial that you have that piece and that you're making sure that your employment packages are talking to your risk management strategies in a whole lot of ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Is that an expensive policy? I mean, just comparatively, I've never even heard of this before.
So there's a little bit of coverage built in typically into every single business package. And it's not uncommon to have like $100,000, kind of a bell and whistles type of thing. But you can and you should get more. So in my opinion, any business that has any employees should have at least $500,000 or more. I encourage standalone policies, and it really depends on how many employees you have, what industry you have, what processes are in place. The more risk that you reduce by having a good process, the less generally you'll tend to pay for an insurance policy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have seen that over and over again. But we make mistakes.
Yes.
I think that the biggest quagmire for business owners right now is this: what are we going to do with a remote workforce? I mean, there's a whole big swath of businesses that don't have to worry about that because everything's in person. But there's so many things you have to think about now.
Absolutely.
Healthcare, how do you offer it? Who do you offer it to? Out of state is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And so you really have to be very clear about that. And there are people who don't want it. So yeah, omissions and all that. Anyway, let's talk about what else do we need to know? Is there anything, final thoughts here?
So one of the things, like Katie was talking about, is making sure those processes are in place. A lot of small business owners don't have HR information, the HR information systems in place. There are so many now that are out there that they can use to just make sure that your onboarding processes are done, that those I-9s are filled out correctly in a timely manner. So it's very important that they take advantage and take the time to do that research to get those processes in place so that they don't have to worry about things like, can I pass an I-9 audit, or are my W-4 forms filled out correctly, or is my benefit package filled out completely? So definitely take advantage of those things. And when you need help, ask for it because
Well,
it's out there.
I have a question about these HR information systems because in my mind, I have decided with no research or any input from anyone else that this is some big, expensive, behemoth kind of software that I have to implement. I've never even really looked at it. What is there? Are there stuff out there for small businesses?
There are small information systems that are really small, that are very user friendly, so that you're not having to take a whole week to have your have it acclimated to your business. There are small business. Some of them are free. Some of them are even low cost. But it's just important that you do take advantage of those systems.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the input. I think this was a great topic, and it's going to help a lot of people.
Thanks for having me.
Build a better marketing strategy with Inverve Marketing. The way we buy has changed. It's time to dream bigger. With digital marketing, you can build your business faster, measure and evaluate results. Let us help you find your marketing superpowers with Inbound Marketing, driven by strategy with inspired creativity. Why not put some verve in your brand? Market and grow better with Inverve Marketing.
This is Denise Policello with Focus on Legal. The TCPA is just one of many, many statutes out there that contain pitfalls for unsuspecting business owners. But like Lisa said, this is not why you got into business. You can't possibly know every law or every rule that you're going to trip over, and you shouldn't have to. But how do you protect your business against laws and rules you don't even know exist? Well, the first thing to do is to try to stay informed. You're not going to know every law, so try to focus on the ones that would pertain to your industry. This means getting on industry websites, joining networking groups. SBAM is a fantastic resource. So is the Small Business Administration, US website, local chambers, do some networking, talk to other business owners in your industry. So, knowledge is power, but you can't do it all by yourself. And you're trying to run a business. You don't always have time. So hire somebody to help you do this. They can read for you when you can't be available. They can attend these things for you, and they can summarize what's going on for you so you can try to be preventative. The last thing that you really do want to do is retain a good outside or even inside counsel. Get a relationship with a good business law firm or a firm who practices in your particular industry, and make sure that they're on retainer so that you're developing a relationship with them over time so that they know your company, they can help you anticipate potential liability, and you're comfortable with them coming in, doing internal audits, doing reviews, and then handing over demand letters or legal claims when they come across your desk and you know they're handled. And you're not cold, starting a relationship cold with a law firm. That's really helpful for you. It will take a load off your shoulders, and it will let you run your core business and concentrate on the issues that you want to concentrate on, which are growing your company.
Focus on Law, brought to you by Pocella and Associates, PLLC.
Hi, I'm Katie from Cedar River Insurance. This is Focus on Insurance, where I try to help you make sense of what insurance can do for your business and the ways that you can improve your portfolio if there's some gaps there. I want to talk today about a small piece of insurance that you probably already have but don't know. It's called Employment Practices Liability Insurance. If you don't already have it, you should probably get it. So, Employment Practices Liability Insurance, or EPLI, can sometimes be found as a small line item within your commercial general liability policy, right under your liability limit. It also could be found in your professional liability policy. So take your portfolio out and take a look for that line item. This is protection against an employee bringing a lawsuit against you for an employment-related purpose, like wrongful termination, harassment, discrimination, even failure to promote. This coverage is very important to have, and it isn't terribly expensive, but it's something that I find employers often don't know that they have or don't know that they need. So pull your policies out today and look for that EPLI limit. If you can't find it, or if you find it and there's only $100,000 or $200,000, this probably isn't enough. If you're an employer, a lawsuit could potentially be very expensive, even if you have not done anything wrong. Even if there's really no cause for the lawsuit, the cost of defending yourself, of court fees, attorney's fees, administrative fees, missing work, etc., it can really add up. So take a minute today, pull your policies out, look for those, and call your agent to ask for ways that you can increase this. They might suggest you add your higher limits. They might suggest a whole separate standalone policy that can protect you if you have multiple employees. I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, I'm Katie from Cedar River Insurance. Thanks.
Focus on Insurance, brought to you by Cedar River Insurance.
I'm attorney Richard Craig Krause, and you've heard me say that business exit strategies can be just as important to you as your day-to-day operations. And the exit strategy concept helps you focus on building value in your business and making arrangements to benefit financially from that, especially when you're ready to either move on to some other business activity, investment, or retirement. It sets longer range goals and helps you stay focused on the big picture. It helps you avoid problems and unnecessary risk. So ask yourself, ultimately, isn't this why you're in business to begin with? In other words, your business is more than a job, and it's supposed to work for you. So these exit strategies need to be identified as early as possible and fine-tuned as time goes on. And the point is, the earlier the better. And over the next several weeks, I will be discussing the key features of structuring exit strategies, and will actually address them in greater detail during full programs that are devoted to these issues. Those programs will feature other experts who contribute to finalizing a strategy that is honed to your objectives and to your needs. You have a 5P obligation to yourself, and Kingmaker Business helps you achieve it. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And what have you done today to accomplish that? I'm attorney Richard Craig Krause, the taxpayer's voice, speaking for Kingmaker Business. And talk to us. This is about you.
Focus on Tax, brought to you by Krause, Bangs, and Associates PC.
The executive producers of Focus on Business are looking for your stories. Stories from owners of established businesses that have come through amazing adversity, bucked the odds, found the next big thing. If you have a story, we want to hear from you. Go to our website and maybe we'll invite you onto the show.